Following Pope Urban II's call to arms at the Council of Clermont in 1095, Europe became inflamed with religious zeal. The goal was clear: to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim rule and establish a lasting Christian presence in the Levant. Thus, the First Crusade began, and through sheer determination, bloodshed, and divine conviction, the Crusaders carved out their own footholds in the East. By the early 12th century, 4 major Crusader states had been established: the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the Principality of Antioch, the County of Edessa, and the County of Tripoli. In this chapter, we will examine the events that led to the foundation of these states, their early struggles for survival, and the strategies, battles, and historical figures that shaped their formation. The First Crusade, composed of roughly 30,000 men, ventured into the unfamiliar lands of the Levant after crossing the treacherous Anatolian plateau. They soon arrived at the formidable city of Antioch, a key stronghold of the Seljuk Turks under the command of Yaghi, a Turkish emir. The city's strategic location on the Orontes River made it indispensable for any serious campaign toward Jerusalem. Antioch was a city of towering walls and strong fortifications. But the Crusaders, despite their dwindling supplies and suffering from hunger and disease, pressed on. The siege, lasting from October 1097 to June 1098, tested the endurance of the crusading forces. The Crusaders employed various strategies to weaken Antioch, from cutting off supply lines to attempting direct assaults on the city's walls. However, every attempt was met with fierce resistance from Yaghi forces. With the morale of the Crusaders sinking, it was Bohemond of Taranto, the Norman leader, who ultimately turned the tide. Through clandestine negotiations, he bribed an Armenian guard named Firuz, who controlled a key tower on the city's western wall. On the night of June 3, 1098, Bohemond led a surprise assault, climbing the walls and opening the gates for the Crusader army. Antioch fell, but their victory was short-lived. Before they could consolidate control, the Crusaders found themselves trapped within Antioch's walls by a massive relief army led by Kerboga of Mosul. Outnumbered and besieged, the situation seemed hopeless. However, fate intervened when a monk named Peter Bartholomew claimed to have discovered the Holy Lance, the spear that had pierced Christ's side. Whether by divine inspiration or sheer desperation, this relic emboldened the Crusaders. In a daring sortie on June 28, 1098, Bohemond, Raymond of Saint-Gilles, Godfrey of Bouillon, and other leaders led their weakened forces out of the city to confront Kerboga's army. Miraculously, the Muslim forces were routed, and Antioch became the second Crusader state with Bohemond as its prince. The city's capture was a turning point, giving the Crusaders a much-needed foothold in the Levant, and positioning Antioch as a strategic center for future campaigns. While the main body of Crusaders was focused on Antioch, Baldwin of Boulogne, younger brother of Godfrey of Bouillon, embarked on a separate mission that would culminate in the establishment of the County of Edessa. As the Crusaders advanced through Anatolia, Baldwin broke off from the main army in response to an invitation from Thoros of Edessa, an Armenian ruler. Thoros, facing constant threats from the Seljuks and other Muslim powers, sought Baldwin's assistance and adopted him as his heir. In 1098, soon after Baldwin arrived in Edessa, Thoros was assassinated under mysterious circumstances, leaving Baldwin to claim the city and its surrounding territories. Thus, the County of Edessa became the first Crusader state. Although it was geographically isolated from the other Crusader states, Edessa played a critical role as a frontier buffer against Turkish incursions. Baldwin worked swiftly to secure the city's defenses, capturing surrounding towns and fortresses, solidifying his control over the region. Despite its distance from the other Crusader states, Edessa was a vital bastion of Latin Christian power. Its location on the edge of the Byzantine Empire and the Muslim world made it a target for constant attacks, but it also provided a staging ground for future Crusader expeditions into the heart of the Muslim territories. With Antioch and Edessa secured, the Crusaders' ultimate prize loomed ahead: Jerusalem. By the spring of 1099, after long delays and arduous sieges, the Crusaders, now reduced to a fraction of their original numbers, resumed their march south toward the Holy City. They faced stiff resistance along the way, but their determination never wavered. Notable victories at towns such as Lydda and Ramla bolstered their supply lines and prepared the Crusaders for the final push. The siege of Jerusalem began on June 7, 1099. The city, under the control of the Fatimid Caliphate, was heavily fortified and defended by a garrison of Muslim forces. Unlike Antioch, the siege of Jerusalem was brief but brutally intense. The Crusaders, driven by religious zeal and the hardships they had endured, assaulted the city's defenses relentlessly. On July 15, 1099, after breaching the walls, the Crusaders poured into the city. The ensuing massacre was horrific, with thousands of Muslims and Jews slaughtered in the chaos. The bloodshed shocked both the Christian and Muslim worlds, yet to the Crusaders, it was seen as divine retribution and the fulfillment of their holy mission. Godfrey of Bouillon, one of the most prominent leaders of the Crusade, was elected ruler of Jerusalem but refused the title of king, instead adopting the more humble title Defender of the Holy Sepulchre. Thus, the Kingdom of Jerusalem was born, becoming the crown jewel of the Crusader states. Under Godfrey's leadership, the Crusaders consolidated control over the surrounding region, capturing key towns like Nablus and Hebron. With the Kingdom of Jerusalem established, the Crusaders turned their attention to securing the coast and expanding their influence. Raymond of Saint-Gilles, who had played a crucial role throughout the First Crusade, embarked on a campaign to conquer the coastal city of Tripoli. His efforts were met with stiff resistance, and though Raymond did not live to see the city's final conquest, his work laid the foundations for the creation of the County of Tripoli, the Third Crusader state. Meanwhile, Baldwin I, who had succeeded his brother Godfrey as King of Jerusalem, pursued a strategy to capture key coastal cities. In 1104, with the aid of Italian maritime republics such as Genoa and Venice, Baldwin I succeeded in capturing Acre, a city of immense strategic importance. Control of Acre and other coastal cities allowed the Crusaders to secure vital supply routes from Europe and strengthened their naval presence in the region. Upon his coronation in 1100, Baldwin I set about transforming the fledgling Kingdom of Jerusalem into a powerful and stable entity. Unlike his brother, Baldwin accepted the title of king and ruled with an iron hand. Between 1100 and 1118, Baldwin I embarked on a series of military campaigns aimed at expanding the kingdom's borders and ensuring its survival against external threats. Baldwin captured key cities such as Caesarea in 1101 and led expeditions as far south as the Sinai Peninsula, securing the kingdom's southern frontier. His capture of Acre in 1104 with Venetian assistance cemented the kingdom's control over the Levantine coast, ensuring the safe arrival of reinforcements and supplies from Europe. Baldwin's reign marked the beginning of a period of consolidation and expansion for the Crusader states. By the early 12th century, the four Crusader states were firmly entrenched in the political and military landscape of the Middle East. The Kingdom of Jerusalem, the Principality of Antioch, the County of Edessa, and the County of Tripoli served as Latin Christian outposts in a predominantly Muslim region. However, their existence was precarious, as they were surrounded by hostile powers, including the Seljuk Turks to the east and the Fatimid Caliphate to the south. The Crusaders relied on a delicate balance of diplomacy, military force, and alliances with local powers to maintain their foothold. The Crusader states became a melting pot of cultures, with Latin, Greek, Armenian, and Muslim influences blending in an environment of constant tension and warfare. Despite their early successes, the Crusader states were always vulnerable to external threats. The rise of powerful Muslim leaders like Zengi, Nur ad-Din, and Saladin would eventually challenge the Latin presence in the Holy Land, leading to the decline and eventual fall of the Crusader states in later centuries. The establishment of the Crusader states was a pivotal moment in medieval history, one that reshaped the cultural and political landscape of the Middle East. The legacy of the Crusader states extended far beyond their military achievements, influencing trade, diplomacy, and the course of Christian-Muslim relations for centuries to come.